And welcome to Sports Extra. I'm your host Ahmed Nawaz with the latest roundup of sports today. Let's take a look at what we're discussing. First of all, the Pakistan team has all done, their preparations. Everything that has been said on the media needs to be put to rest now. I think we've got to focus on the task at hand, which we tend to miss out, that it's a 3-match test series in Australia. And you can talk about the captaincy and the players and whatever you want to, but I found some, I think, great camaraderie in the dressing room, what I was able to observe from some of the training videos and whatever we saw there as well. So I think these boys are ready, and they're going to be taking the challenge head on. Australia is never easy, and obviously I said that things have been changing traditionally in Australia as well. There are still runs on offer if you've got the technicalities to go about it. So I think it's going to be a very interesting series, and some of these guys, obviously, for Shan Masood's his first test, Saim Ayub looked very confident being part of the side. They've got Khurram Shahzad, they've got a new management as well, with Mohammad Hafiz taking up the role of director and coach, and then of course you've got Umar Gul as a fast bowling coach and Saeed Ajmal the spin bowling coach as well. So like I said, things have been changing at PCB, but we need to really focus on the cricket itself. That's something that should be talked about more than side things as well. Then of course we tell you that the women's cricket team has arrived in New Zealand. They're going to be playing a T20 and ODI series there, and of course a much needed series. I think we need some quality practice, be it in the form of a series, a tour, or something at home as well, because the more cricket these girls are going to play, the more result oriented we're going to get. So I think so far things have been pretty stable, but then again I just want to see more of that quality from the Pakistan women's team, playing at par with what international teams are doing, and then of course you cannot worry about the result. Then we also move on to some more interesting news from the world of cricket. I love the inclusivity of cricket, and now we've got Uganda beating Zimbabwe in an important encounter by 5 wickets. That was an interesting game. So I think history will always remember this game as well. But for the cricket fans in Uganda, or also the next generation who are going to look up to this game, it will always be something that will be a defining moment for them. So I think we'll talk about this game in detail and what that inclusivity means for the world of cricket. And then of course we discussed the National T20 Cup in detail, all the action there is, and of course the action right now is live on PTV Sports HD. You can watch it all there, and we'll keep you updated with the first round results and fixtures, and of course teams that are performing right now as well. That is on the show. That is something that we're discussing. Today also marks a very special occasion. We will be talking about that as well. Of course, it was emotional scenes for cricket 9 years ago, but at the later half of the show I will be talking about this as well. Time now to introduce the guests. First of all, in studios, making a comeback. I think it's all about comebacks. CM Punk making a comeback back in WWE. This gentleman is back in studios. Always great having him. And you do feel nostalgic, but the energy is absolutely there with this handsome young man. And we get to talk about so many things, catch up, but for the time he's away, you really tend to miss him, but we're glad that he's back in studios. My fellow anchor, an anchor of Sports Extra, he's a part of the PTV World Team forever. We've stamped Sports Extra on him. Mr. Ali Gaur joins us back. Assalamu alaikum, Ali. How are you?
Wa alaikum assalam, Ahmed. How are you? And thank you for the lovely introduction.
I'm very well. Great to see you. Great to see you in person, and it's lovely having you back, mate. We've also been joined by cricket commentator and cricket expert Kashif. Assalamu alaikum, Kashif bhai. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, wa alaikum assalam.
Thank you very much for joining us as well, Kashif bhai. So, interesting things are happening in the world of cricket, and we're going to be discussing them in detail. And like I said, that you need to keep an eye on the cricket. That should be the first task at hand. Now, Ali Gohar, a lot of things changed in Pakistan. And of course, we talk about the Pakistan Cricket Board making these changes. Our media tends to, bite everything out of it instead of focusing on the cricket at hand, like I said. But, talk us through this important tour to Australia. It always is historically.
It is. Pakistan haven't won a test match in Australia since 1995 Sydney, and well, I have to be honest, unfortunately I don't see them winning a test match this time, which it is unfortunate, and maybe I am speaking too soon, but that's just what I foresee. But they have to go and give it their best shot, as long as they're competitive and they try to make a team which is cohesive and can compete against the Australians. No one's expecting any miracles, but we should be able to see guys like Saim Ayub be able to express themselves. He should be given a chance. Khurram Shahzad should be given a chance. Abrar has already played a few test matches. I think he'll be very handy for the Pakistanis. But they need to go with a nothing to lose kind of mentality. And who knows? Who knows? Maybe they might be able to pull off something special. I sound like a defeatist right now. I fully realize that, and I do apologize, but that's just what I foresee. But if they can give it their best shot, try to develop some kind of a combination and take it to the Australians, I think we should be happy. And remember, Shan Masood is a new captain. He needs to be given time. Ahmed, as you quite rightly said, maybe the media should just focus on cricket and be critical, but try not to be too harsh, because understand Pakistan are going through a bit of a rebuilding phase. So I think patience is what's required. Remember when other teams weren't, many other teams have been through this phase, right? They needed time to get going, and I have no doubt Pakistan certainly have the talent to do well in the future.
Certainly, Mr. Qazi Shabir, let's analyze this from a perspective that, of course, there have been some new inclusions in the Pakistan cricket team, and the chief selector Wahab Riaz was very critical about giving talent the right opportunity at the right time following the current domestic season as well. Saim, you being one of those individuals. They've got Khurram Shahzad as well. I understand that people might argue there's not a bunch of first-class experience overall, but then again, like Ali mentioned, that that attitude that you're going there with a fearless attitude, expressing yourself, playing your cricket on Australia. How do you see the series and the importance of it for these certain youngsters?
Actually, Ahmed, because we are coming from a World Cup, a disastrous World Cup for the Pakistan team, that is the reason why we are so defeated before the actual series. But the plus point or the good point for this series is the inclusion of all these youngsters, because we have always been talking about the domestic cricket, and we have been talking on the fact that the importance should be given to the players who have performed in the domestic series. And this is exactly what the new selector has done. He has given the opportunity to all those players who have performed in the domestic circuit, whether it is the bowlers or the batsmen.
I'm just going to come back to that, but right after. And welcome back to Sports Extra. We're discussing Pakistan's tour to Australia, the 3 test matches in particular. So Kasha, before the break, we were talking about the fact that some of these youngsters have got an opportunity.
Yes.
And then, of course, there is a fair bit of experience that we're carrying as well.
Exactly. This is what I was saying, that the good point that came out of the World Cup was that we have given the opportunity to the new individuals, whether they were bowlers or the batsmen. I think this is a good sign for the Pakistan cricket, because all these will give impetus not only to the main team but to the domestic circuit as well, because now they know that if they perform in the domestic series, they will be given an opportunity to represent their country in international tours. But the unfortunate part for these individuals is that the upcoming tour is a difficult one. It is going to be a very difficult tour for the whole Pakistan team. But I think the batting side, if you talk about the batting side, we have a very good quality batting lineup available under the leadership of Shan Masood, where Babar Azam is playing, Rizwan is there, Saud Shakil and Abdullah Shafiq. All these players, they are in form. But the worrying sign for Pakistan is the bowling department, because there we are lacking the experience. The only experienced bowler that we have is Shaheen Shah Afridi, who probably is not 100% fit, because in the World Cup we have seen that he has not been bowling at his full and maximum pace. That is a worrying sign for Pakistan. But now we have to see how the newcomer Khurram Shahzad and Hamza, how he will perform Mir Hamza, how he will perform in this tour, because Australian wickets are conducive for the fast bowlers, and all these bowlers, they have the ability not only to bowl with the new ball but with the old ball as well. The trick of reverse swing is going to be very handy for all these players. But again, Ahmed, the spinning department is again a weak link for Pakistan, because we don't have the experience there available. But I'm sure with Saeed Ajmal, this department might improve for Pakistan, because that is very important for Pakistan to have a convincing lead against Australia.
Well, Ali Gaur, there's a lot of talk about the right lengths in Australia. I want to talk about something that our fast bowlers should be realizing. Some of these young fast bowlers as well. What's the key to bowling in Australia? You got to go through those. And I always stress the fact that right now our bowlers are struggling because they don't have the ability to bowl longer spells.
Well, yes. I mean, look, back in the day, right? Some of Pakistan's fast bowlers used to get a little bit too excited bowling in Australia. Looking at the pace and bounce, they'd go a little too short, where you have to be back of a length and consistently back of a length. If you go too full and the ball is not swinging, you'll get punished. Now, the first Test match they're playing is in Perth, I believe, right?
Yes.
So Perth used to be one of the quickest wickets in Australia,
now,
but not as quick as it used to be. But again, probably the length will be that same. You know, that Hazelwood length is where Shaheen, Mohammad Wasim, and Khurram Shahzadavi plays. That's where they need to be. I think the idea is not to get too cute or try anything too different. Just stick to the basics. Now, we were talking when we were on break, we talked about the Indian B team beating Australia in the final Test match with a second string bowling attack. Now, what did they do well? They were boring stuff. They were just aiming for that corridor of uncertainty, back of a length, with the surprise short delivery. I think they need to keep things simple, because as Kashif Bhai just said, that our bowling attack isn't the strongest, so they just have to try and keep things simple, have a little bit of clarity, and hopefully they'll be able to get some positive results. Kashif also talked about Pakistan's batting department. It's rare that Pakistan's batting is stronger than Pakistan's bowling going into any series, really. But this is an opportunity for Babar Azam to show the world that he's still one of the best. And he's certainly one of the best. I think he was treated very badly during the World Cup by the PCB as well. I'm not sure if I should say that, but it's true. That statement coming out during the World Cup was just a sign of how backward we are, and we need to learn from our mistakes. Babar is one of the best players we've ever produced, and I hope there's a fire in his belly. I hope it's still going, and he makes 600s on this tour. I think we're talking a lot about Saim Ayub and Saud Shakil, who's a fantastic prospect, Shan Masood, the new captain, but Abdullah Shafiq, of course. But I think this is the opportunity for Babar Azam to show the world what he's made of.
Ali, David Lloyd Bumble, I would like to quote him. I have been quoting him for the past week now, but that statement made a lot of sense. On a social media interview, he said that he likes that this has happened, because now Babar can stay away from all that nonsense that was going around and just focus on his particular cricket. And, you know, gauging Babar for the past 2 or 3 years, we have seen him as an individual who would really put this behind him and focus at the task at hand.
Well, again, this is the perfect opportunity for Babar to show that he's not just, a pretty player. He's also got that stuff that makes you great, grit and determination. This will be a defining series for Babar Azam. That's what I'm looking forward to. I think we're going to see the best of him in this series. He's going to take the attack to the Australians. He's going to bat with a great deal of flair, but also a lot of discipline. And David Lloyd said the right thing. You could see when Sachin Tendulkar was captain. Sachin Tendulkar didn't have the best team, so I'm not going to say that Sachin was a bad captain. He didn't have the resources, but you could tell leadership was weighing heavily on him. When he was no longer the leader, we saw a different Sachin. Now, I think we're going to see a different Babar down under.
Well, certainly. Now we talk about something that 9 years ago on this day sent shockwaves to the entire cricketing fraternity. And although the memory would still live on, that gave an opportunity for many things to change in the world of cricket as far as concussion protocols or the safety of the batters was concerned. Things did change for the better. But like I said, this moment would always be a very heavy one that would live on for generations to come as a memory. We've got a report on that. Let's take a look and then we discuss it further.
Hughes was an Australian international cricketer. He was a left-handed opening batsman. He played for Australia from 2009 until his death in 2014. Hughes tragically passed away 3 days before his 26th birthday as a bouncer hit him on the back of the head while he was batting. He made his debut in the first Test match against South Africa. Dale Steyn dismissed for a duck in the first innings. He highlighted the second innings with 75 runs. In the second Test, he scored centuries in both innings. Phillip Hughes became the youngest player to score 2 centuries in a Test match. He showcased his talents for the very first time. In 2013, he was included in the one-day international against Sri Lanka. He scored 112 in his ODI debut. He became the first Australian to score a century in his debut. He scored another century in the 5 match of that series. Since then, he has played 25 one-day international and 26 test matches. Helmets have been upgraded since the death of cricketer Phillip Hughes in November 2014. This is the key finding from the independent review into the death of Phillip Hughes, who died when struck by a short pitch ball while playing. But even today's modified helmets are not enough to prevent a similar tragedy.
Well, there you have it. All you need to know in this report by Sabah. Phillip Hughes, a memory that would live on. And Kashif, like I said, there are a lot of things change after that. As far as the protocols for batters were concerned, concussion protocol came in. The design of helmets we started seeing changed as well. Certainly a big loss for Cricket Australia and the world.
No doubt about it. I think it was a very unfortunate incident that happened in Australia. And many things definitely changed after this incident. But I mean, these all should have been changed earlier than this incident, because I think the management, the overall ICC should be proactive about all these things, because cricket has been evolving. Remember those days when there was no limit for the bouncers? Every bowler used to bowl, maybe he can bowl 6 bouncers, but now the bouncers have also been limited. Only because of this reason, because we all know that lives are very important in cricket, and we have to take really, precautions for this.
Forever not out, of course, Phillip Hughes. That's 63.
63,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that was a, and to be honest, I was glued to the television, and even after that, Ali Gohar, I remember the memorial service, and I saw Michael Clarke. Even the day Hughes passed away, the hospital, Clarke was the first one to address the media and break the news as well. So a tragic moment for the world of cricket.
Tragic. I still remember the final, Michael Clarke's final words at Phillip Hughes's memorial. He said, "Rest in peace, my little brother. I'll see you out in the middle." And then they went on to win the Adelaide Test against India. It was a memorable Test match. And what a sacrifice Phillip Hughes made. He was extremely talented, and I think the squad was just about to be announced for the India series, and Phillip Hughes was in it. I think it was almost confirmed, and unfortunately that happened when he was struck on the head, back of the head. And now, rightly so, that extra caution is being taken. Helmets have been redesigned. It's just, I'm sure this has happened before, but not in international games. I mean, to think that Viv Richards used to bat with a cap. I remember Imran Khan even telling a story saying that Andy Roberts almost killed him, but it just kissed his cap. So I think I agree with the Kashif.
Even one of those crazy helmets that Javed Miandad used to wear, the ones that had
without the visor,
but nothing in front.
But nothing in front. Mike Gatting would wear nothing in front. I remember Robin Smith in 1990. I don't remember it. I saw it on YouTube. I was 2 years old then. But Bishop was really going at him, bowling bouncer after bouncer, and then Courtney Walsh finally got him in the jaw. And then he said, "I know, madam, I'm as tough as old boots, innit?" But again, this needed to happen a long time ago. It's so unfortunate that an incredible talent and an incredible human being had to go like that. But it made us all realize that batters need proper protection, modern protection, then the whole concussion thing with the substitute coming on if need be. Remember, Jofra Archer struck Stephen Smith in the head during that famous Ashes battle. Now imagine if those precautions hadn't been put in place. So Phillip Hughes has really done a wonderful service to cricket. He'll be sorely missed.
Categorically, Ali, I mean, even if you look at the design of the helmet then, and then if I compare it to what it is now with that protection back of the head as well, that was the last place somebody would have expected to get hit by a bouncer.
Yeah, these random freak accidents happen. It's like being struck by lightning, right? So, I mean, the first helmet, I remember it was probably in, maybe Kashif Bhai can correct me if I'm wrong, or you can. I remember it was World Series cricket, where a batter came out, I'm forgetting his name, with a motorcycle helmet. And that was actually that's when the cricketing world realized, well, this is not a bad idea, especially when we have fast bowlers like Michael Holding and Andy Roberts bowling on these bouncy wickets. So, it evolved, and then came the visor. First it was a plastic visor. I still remember guys like Mudassir Nazar and Imran Khan wearing them in 1982. And imagine if a ball just hit them right in the middle, it would shatter. So things then gradually got better, but then it took for Phillip Hughes to be struck on the head and die for the cricketing world to realize that we've got to upgrade.
I mean,
this.
sometimes the ball would even creep on you, even if you were completely protected. I remember, I remember that faint memory of seeing that on television when Gary Kirsten got hit by the Shoaib Akhtar bouncer, and it was blood all over.
I meant Brian Lara by Shoaib Akhtar.
Yes, that
at the
too.
same spot where Phillip Hughes was hit.
Yeah, just a bit below,
Almost,
Kashif,
yeah,
just a
almost
bit
the same,
below.
yeah.
Any higher, and I think it would have been curtains for Brian Lara. I mean, Malcolm Marshall hit Mike Gatting in the Caribbean and hit him on the nose. He went back to the dressing room, and it was bloody. His nose was bloody, of course. But when he blew his nose, and he looked at the tissue, there was fragments of bone fragments in the tissue, and he passed out because he was traumatized, and there was blood on the wicket, Alan Lamb said. So
Saurav Ganguly, he was badly hit by Shoaib Akhtar in the rib cage, but that was rib cage, not the head.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the main spot where all these ballers, they target the head region.
and Saurav wasn't the same after that.
Yeah, obviously, yeah. But Kashif, I want you to, finally just coming to the close of the program, send this message out to the younger lot right now. They're very savvy of not wearing the helmet even on spin bowling. They've got to realize the importance of all these young kids of wearing a helmet on the field.
Exactly, and this is not bravery that if you are not wearing helmet against the bowler. I would go to the extent that the helmet should be worn against the spinners as well, because if you are sweeping on the spinners, you might have an edge from the bat, and that can hit you anywhere.
And by umpires.
This is going to be very
And by umpires, I think they
And
do it in the
also-
Big Bash.
Big Bash.
And also, Ali, for the wicket keepers, because
Oh, for
for
sure.
wicket keepers, it is very, very important.
Mark
We can
Boucher,
have the
prime
example of
example,
Mark
yes.
Boucher,
What
exactly. He lost his eye only because of this reason. So it is not bravery at all. Just forget it. It is not bravery, and you are not afraid of the bowlers. You are protecting yourself, and this is the primary importance for every individual.
Certainly. Kashif Shabir and Ali Gohar, thank you very much for joining us on the show. It was a pleasure having both of you. That, of course, wraps it up for me and the entire team of Sports Extra. Until our next show, it's goodbye.